you know, and it's so obvious, it's blatant, it's right in your face. It's a conflict of interest.
No, exactly, and I want to get into that. Just to break into the aspartame thing, this is a key thing. We're actually going to rewrite this because no one knows this.
Okay.
You know how aspartame is made? Genetically modified bacteria waste.
Yeah.
Genetically modified bacteria crap is taken. This is from a 1998 Independent article. You can Google it. They had a Monsanto rep, and he was like, yeah, we take the genetically modified bacteria crap, and then we put it into a petri dish and let it grow, and then we wait for the crap to ferment, and then we have aspartame. And it's like, is there any debate anymore? And as far as I know, there's over 500 officials in the United States government that worked for or currently work for Monsanto.
Yeah.
It's a total revolving door. That's how they, FDA is now giving them speedy approval processes on all their stuff. And anyone can go Google this right now too. Look up Monsanto US-EU trade wars. So if you remember this is from The Guardian. They said that if you don't support Monsanto, the United States diplomats did, if you don't support Monsanto, that's fine. We'll just issue trade wars against you.
That's right.
So the government, and
World
by the way,
Trade
the State
Organization.
Department pays for pamphlets and information for Monsanto to be distributed throughout the world. Specifically Spain, and that's who was trying to reject them. And they were saying, that's okay, Spanish government. If you reject Monsanto and biotech, we will issue trade wars against you and economically collapse you. So that's how in bed they are. They're pushing it on an agenda. And that's why everywhere else is labeling GMOs. That's why everywhere else is actually standing up for your rights in some capacity to not eat GMOs. But here, we're in the cesspit of GMO Roundup junk, just shoveling it down our throats, and we're not allowed to know we're eating it.
Well,
there's something wrong with that.
Definitely. They want to control the world's food supply.
No, absolutely.
I mean, that's their end game. And I had a chance to talk with former federal crimes investigator, best-selling author, and investigative journalist Greg Palast the other day. And here's what he had to say about Monsanto's powerful reach into Washington.
I mean, Monsanto is very smart. A really smart corporation understands you don't favor one party over another. You don't put your bet on one horse. You buy the racetrack. You fix the house, okay? And Monsanto is very sharp in making sure that they just load up the Democratic Party with cash. And they've been huge supporters, especially of the Clintons. And the FDA has been genetically modified at Monsanto's request. Mostly, I mean, the Bush administration had their hand in these games with Monsanto, but nothing close to what the Clintons did. And I think that a lot of Democrats who are sitting there eating bean sprout sandwiches and making sure their kids have, that they buy things that are organic, and they go to Whole Foods and they pay triple. I think that they would be shocked to find out that, in fact, a lot of those products that they think are wonderful and organic and free of any manipulation are, in fact, Frankenstein foods that are not properly labeled, care of the Clintons.
That's right.
It's a big problem. I mean, this is the problem of pretend partisanship. They own both parties, and that's what I guess a party is for.
There you go. Greg Palast is saying that Monsanto has the Democrats in their left pocket, Republicans are in the right. Same old story. Anything you want to add to that?
You know, I think overall we are winning the war against GMOs. We are pushing towards GMO labeling.
Yep.
And pretty much I know everyone watching this video is in full agreement with us and in full agreement with reality. And the good news is I see on a daily basis with thousands of emails and hundreds of thousands of shares on all social media platforms, we are fed up with Monsanto, and it's time for them to go. They're losing tens of millions of dollars just last quarter. They were flushing out money. No one wants their garbage products anymore. And you can vote yourself by going to the grocery store and saying, hey, I'm not going to buy this. I'm only going to buy non-GMO Project Verified. And ultimately, we will win the war. There's no question.
That's right. Well, Anthony Gucciardi, thanks for hanging out. It was good to have you. And be sure to check out Anthony's latest article, How Monsanto Keeps Halting GMO Labeling Despite Over 96% Approval Rating. That's right. And, you know, like all of you, I was very disappointed when I found out that these GMO labeling propositions failed. I can't say I was too surprised, but I was very disappointed. But the good news is that GMO awareness is actually growing as a result of these campaigns. And as you're about to find out, there has been some major victories against Monsanto at the local level.
People deserve to know whether the food we're feeding our families has been genetically engineered for heavy pesticides.
GMO issues were on the ballot in multiple states in 2014. And by genetic modification, I don't mean creating hybrids. That's been done throughout human history. I'm talking about transgenic genetic modification, directly manipulating and combining the genes of dissimilar organisms, or even mixing the genes of plants and animals to create new chimera, new Frankenstein creations. Bills to let people know if there were genetically modified organisms in their food by requiring GMO labeling were defeated in Colorado 66 to 34% and narrowly defeated in Oregon 49.3% to 50.7%. In Oregon, 100% of the funding to stop labeling of GMO in food was out of state. 100% of the funding to stop GMO labeling was from corporations. And spending was heavily skewed to keep consumers from knowing what's in their food. In Colorado, the spread was 12 million to 7 million. In Oregon this year, it was 20 million to 9 million. A year ago in Washington, it was 22 million to 8 million. In California in 2012, it was 45 million to 9 million. Monsanto and Big Agri have spent $100 million in just the last 2 years in just these 4 states to stop the public from knowing what's in their food.
As a farmer and a new mom, accurate food labels are important to me. That's why I'm voting no on 92.
Money spent on propaganda and lies to convince you that GMO is safe and it's too expensive to change a label. If GMO is so great, then why wouldn't they want you to know? And why wouldn't they want to feature it on their label? Look at how effective their propaganda is. The first poll in Oregon was taken in the summer before the massive propaganda campaign. 77% in favor of labeling and only 12% opposed.
U.S. food companies already label in 64 countries. Shouldn't they label here too?
Why can't we have GMO labeling? We have required labeling of food for many things like artificial flavors and colors, chemical preservatives, fat, oil, the percentages and kinds of fats. But you can't know if it has GMO. There are a couple of forms of certifications now, but it can be confusing. If we look at the difference between USDA organic certification versus the non-GMO project, non-GMO is cheaper than organic, and some have accused it of blurring the line between organic and non-organic. For example, chicken with the non-GMO project label could still have antibiotics and synthetic hormones. USDA organic would have neither. The non-GMO project would also allow pesticides, as long as they're not GMO pesticides, to be sprayed on the crops. But on the other hand, USDA organic doesn't go back as many levels in the certification to see if there is any genetic modification. Are you confused yet? Wouldn't it be better if we could just stop the direct manipulation and mixing of the genes of plants and animals in order to create these kind of Frankenstein chimera in the first place? But that would require banning the practices of Monsanto. But they have a foothold on the American government and on the political process here. It would require defeating them on the ballot. Is that impossible? No. Although attempts to get GMO labeling at the state and national level has failed, local bans at the county level have been successful. Before this election, there were already several county bans on growing GMO. 2 counties in Oregon, 1 county in Washington, 4 counties and several cities in California were joined by Humboldt County, California, which also passed a ban on Tuesday.
We're not mega farms here. Our small family farms and pasture-based dairies have a great advantage in the growing market for organic and non-GMO foods.
I don't want to have to tell you that the food I'm raising for you has been cross-pollinated by GMOs. You can help our family farms continue to thrive by voting yes on Measure P.
Yes, sir, on Measure P.
And there was a huge anti-GMO victory in Maui County, Hawaii, as part of the 2014 elections. In spite of Monsanto and Dow spending $8 million, which was a new record for ballot measures in Hawaii, they were defeated, and by just 1,000 votes. Monsanto outspent the people of Hawaii 87 to 1, $300 for every vote they got. But they still lost. Monsanto and Dow created a PAC, a political action committee, to run ads and called it Citizens Against the Maui County Farming Ban. The farming ban part was a lie. It wasn't a ban on farming. It was a ban on GMO farming. Big difference. The citizens part was also a lie. It was funded solely and exclusively by Monsanto and Dow. It wasn't a Citizens Against Farming ban. It was 2 GMO corporations against a GMO ban, and they lost. And there's a lesson there that goes beyond GMO. Remember, efforts at the national level have fallen on deaf ears. Multiple state ballot measures have also failed. Only the Vermont legislature has passed a GMO label law. But there have been multiple victories at the county level, stopping GMO at the source. All politics is local. We can fight corporate and government intrusion into our lives very successfully at the local level. When pressed about what the GMO Corporations Against Banning GMO Farming PAC was doing, their spokesman said, "I'm not comfortable describing our campaign activities." They're also not comfortable describing what they're doing to our food. For INFOWARS Nightly News, I'm David Knight.
Hi, I'm Dr. Group. Today, I'm proud and excited to announce a new product to the INFOWARS Life product line. Introducing the first proprietary oxygen-based intestinal cleanser, OxyPowder. Backed by real FDA-approved phase 1, 2, and 3 clinical trials. People are suffering from all kinds of digestive issues these days. All the toxins from the air, the food, the water, everything that you're exposed to on a daily basis ultimately ends up in the gut or affects the gut. My main focus was to come up with a remedy for this, something that's safe and effective that anyone can take on a regular basis to keep their intestinal lining clean. You have over 30 feet of intestinal lining that can be compacted, that can be toxic, that can be full of parasites, fungus, bacteria. What are you doing to keep that clean and flushed out? My recommendation is to clean your intestines at least 2 to 3 times a week to prevent the toxic buildup from going into your bloodstream. You owe it to yourself to take your health into your own hands and start cleansing your body today with OxyPowder. Secure your OxyPowder today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.
The globalist social engineers are not just targeting us with propaganda. They are manipulating our genetics. We are being targeted at every level by estrogen mimickers that lower our testosterone and other hormones and natural compounds that the body needs. After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO organic super male vitality formula sourced from powerful organic herbs and then concentrated for maximum potency. Super Male Vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals. Super Male Vitality by INFOWARS Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose. For a limited time, we are offering 15% off Super Male Vitality at InfoWarsLife.com to introduce you to this powerful supplement. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your Super Male Vitality. InfoWarsLife.com.
Welcome back to the INFOWARS Nightly News. I'm Darren McBreen, and I am really looking forward to this next guest. This ought to be interesting. His name is Nathan Folks. He is a film producer and a talent manager who started out at Paramount Pictures. This guy, he's worked with everyone from Woody Harrelson to Leonardo DiCaprio, Dennis Hopper, you name it. And now he is working with a group called Exposing the Big Three. And they are planning a class action lawsuit against the federal government to expose what they believe are false flag terror attacks orchestrated by the United States government. Mr. Folks, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, tell us a little bit more about Exposing the Big Three. Who's involved in this group, and what sort of false flag terror attacks do you plan to expose?
Well, we're just now getting started and developing a case that will bring light to some of these major events that have happened. Unfortunately, these events have been events that have been faked, have been a hoax, and we feel Jim Fetzer and David Weiss and some others have come to me, and we have decided, as well as Wolfgang Halbig, that we should get together and develop a class action lawsuit against